So today's video is going to be a little bit of a reaction on my end to the Wheel of Time photos that were released recently, as well a little bit as a reaction to your reactions to the Wheel of Time photos that were released. I asked over on my Instagram stories, do you like them? And about half of you did not like them, and about half of you did. And then I also asked if you had any more specific thoughts, and your thoughts are hilarious. So I want to go through all of those really quickly. I'll just kind of give you an overview of my thoughts on them. There's one photo in particular that is the main one to react to. So really quickly going over the other three. We have one that I don't think that this photo looks absolutely terrible or anything. I don't have too many thoughts. Kind of looks like Croft Manor. But what I do like about this photo is I think a lot of people mistakenly assume that everything fantasy is going to be medieval-esque or Game of Thrones. That's the thing everybody says. It's the next Game of Thrones. And so I like that right away. They're like, no, it's not. See? This one's a little different. By the way, for those of you who are new here and don't know, I have read the first 4 books in this series out of a total of 14, 15 if you count the prequel, and I'm not the biggest fan of the series, but I do really want this adaptation to be a success because I root basically for any fantasy adaptation. I want it to be wonderful. I know a lot of people who really love the books, and even just for their sake, I hope it's a great adaptation. But I'm not a hardcore fan. I'm not going to be an expert, but I do know who these characters are and what a lot of times these photos are depicting, which is true for this next photo. I know who these two characters are, and I would love to know hardcore fans' opinions of this photo because there's a couple things about it that I have some thoughts on. First off, at the beginning of Wheel of Time, you have this group of friends, and the boys are usually awkward with the girls, with the exception of one particular character, but one of the characters who's a guy, Rand, who is in this photo, him and this other character, Perrin, every time they go to talk to a girl, they're always like, oh, what do I say? Matt and Rand would know if it's Perrin, and then if it's Rand, he's like, oh, if only I knew what to say to my friend who is a girl. Matt and Perrin would know, and they're always a little bit awkward and goofy, and I don't feel like this photo captures that. This photo looks like they're like the best of friends and they really care for each other, which they do, but the level of awkwardness I feel like is not really captured here. He looks a little extra confident. He looks like a charming fella, and I don't know, I just feel like that's not really, it's a still. I'm being overly picky, but that's what I remember from the beginning of Wheel of Time. So I really do want to know, if you're a big fan, what are your thoughts as far as like the way these characters, their posturing and their expressions and things like that. I would love to know you expertly dissecting that. But I want to praise the fact that I think that the setting and the background looks beautiful. One of my favorite things about fantasy adaptations are getting to see all of these beautiful places. So I do like the background. I'm going to kind of poke fun for a second though and say that this particular shot, when I saw it, I thought it looked like an ad for one of those companies that for every purchase you make, whether it be like a backpack or a jacket or something, they plant X amount of trees. That's what this looks like. Like, you just need to throw in the 10 tree logo, and I feel like it's one of those shots. And even the way that her outfit is in this picture, it kind of looks like she had a flannel on, like an outdoorsy look, and she tied the flannel around her waist. And if they had regular modern hiking boots, I would absolutely believe that you were showing me an ad for an outdoorsy company, but instead they have fantasy boots, so it's fantasy. I'm being really picky. It's fine. I don't actually mind this photo. The next photo, I want also to know your thoughts. Please write spoilers if you want to talk about this next photo, because I do feel like it leans into spoiler territory. Once again, I really like the background and the setting in this one. I know, I think, what's going on in this picture, so I don't want to say too much because I don't want to ruin it for people who know nothing and are wanting to go into the series knowing nothing. But this picture I'm lukewarm about. The picture, though, that I feel like I have thoughts on and a lot of you had thoughts on, and those thoughts are hilarious, would be this photo. I am not a fan. This photo is so cheesy. It's a really cheesy shot, and I feel bad because I feel like this series has potential to be really cool, and the shot does not scream really cool to me. It screams Friends reunion, but in a fantasy world. I will say though, some of you had some absolutely hilarious takes, and then some of you had positive thoughts about this photo. So I'm going to be going through now your reactions. You know mine. But one of the first reactions that was submitted I think is fantastic. It says, they look like last-minute Ren Fair outfits from repurposed bags of potatoes. There were quite a few other ones that also thought it looked like Renaissance Fair outfits. To me, this reminded me, and this is no shade to cosplay, because I think cosplay is really cool. And I follow a few cosplayers, and I find it absolutely amazing and honestly really inspiring. The amount of effort that goes into good cosplay is really impressive. But you know how when you play a lot of video games or you watch a lot of fantasy or just things in general that have not typical clothing, you get so used to it when you see it in that setting. And then when you see somebody dressed up in that outfit, then you realize how bizarre those outfits are. And that's kind of what this Wheel of Time photo looks like to me. Like it doesn't look like they belong in those outfits. It looks like they're dressing up as characters from something that they enjoy. I think this next reaction similarly voices what I just said. It looks a little bit like they're rolling up to a Halloween party. Someone said, I'm getting some serious Aragon movie vibes from this picture, which is kind of, I feel like, the kiss of death. One person says, haven't read the books. This just looks interesting. So that's good. I love this one. The cheesy posing is a choice, but I'm putting that on EW, Entertainment Weekly, not the show for now. That's how I feel as well. And I'm hoping that in feeling this way, that my track record of feeling one way beforehand and then feeling a different way once I actually see the show will continue. And so what I mean by that is I thought that season 1 of Witcher was going to be amazing. Everything that was coming out, I'm like, oh my gosh, it looks so good. I loved the trailer. I was always loving all the photos they were releasing. I was pumped. And then I didn't really care for that first season of Witcher. And then for the Shadow and Bone adaptation, when I saw the trailer, I was like, uh-oh, because I thought it looked very melodramatic. And then I had such a good time with the show. So, of course, these images are not a true representation of what we're gonna get with the show. This next one is a specific criticism. It says Lan, who I'll have a little arrow pointing to, should have armor, and there's years of official art and they're just ignoring it. This person also wasn't a fan of Lan. It says, I also hate Lan's outfit. They did my man dirty. But they also had said initially, Moraine is missing her jewel. I feel like she should look fancier. This person says, at first glance, I thought this was really bad / cheap cosplay. Not good. This one says, the costumes just look a little low budget, like the ones in the awful Shannara adaptation. This one says they all look so crusty. Another fan is pointing out, they say Nynaeve's outfit in braid looks off. Moraine doesn't have her pendant. On the note of their hair, there's something about Lan's hair to me that looks kind of like a wig. And it's funny because it could just be his real hair, but I don't know. It almost looks like they filled it in to be too black, but I could be wrong about that. Some of you are being a little picky, but also I understand because you're fans. This person says, why is Rand shorter than Perrin? He's meant to be like 6'6". Someone else mentioned that Rand should be taller. I know my husband, who has read the entire Wheel of Time series, when I first showed him, his first reaction was, yikes. But then his second reaction was like, why isn't Rand taller than Perrin? And I was like, I mean, at some point, you know, if he's a perfect actor and he's just a little shorter, you can't help that. But also I understand being frustrated at certain aspects of the characters not exactly fitting, especially because Robert Jordan is so detailed. I think this next comment is absolutely accurate. It says, I know nothing about this series, but I feel like these types of wardrobes look goofy until they're on screen, which ties back to what I was saying before. It's fine when you see it in context, and then it's when you see things out of context. And right now we're essentially seeing these things out of context because they're not actually in the show just yet. So I do definitely agree with that. This person says, well, these are promo shots, so the clothes are all too clean and it feels staged, which is very, very true. This one main shot definitely looks staged. And then as far as the clothes looking a little clean, that was something quite a few people brought up. And I think that that's a fair point because these are a group of people that are traveling a lot, certain ones, and then other ones who are kind of laborers. And so you would expect their clothes to look a little dirtier, a little more lived in. So I agree with that. This same person also followed up with, I imagine shots of actual footage will look / feel more natural than these staged ones. We'll end it on this one because it kind of encompasses both positive and negative. It says the picture itself is dumb and bad for getting hype, but it still excites me to see it. Let me know your thoughts to these photos. I would love to see them. But anyway, thanks so much for watching. I hope you all have a lovely rest of your day, and I'll see you later. Bye.